Hey there Tarot fans, welcome to another edition of Blue Six Tarot. I'm your fantastic host Blue Six. Thank you very much for watching. Now, if you were following me on Twitter and Instagram during the weekend, and if you haven't, check this out, it's definitely worth watching. I was going on a trip to get myself a new deck of tarot for 2020, and I went on that trip, and I got that tarot, and now we're doing an unboxing of that tarot. Isn't life exciting? Roll on the intro. So first off, if you are new to the channel, please give me a thumbs up, a subscription, and even leave a comment at the bottom. I do try to respond to the comments. So today we'll be doing an unboxing of the Modern Witch Tarot. Now, I've been waiting for this deck almost as eagerly as I waited for the True Black Tarot. Only difference is I didn't have to pay almost 20 quid in tax. So if you're new to the channel, please give me a thumbs up, subscription, and even hit that bell for further notifications. Now in today's video, I'll be doing an unboxing of the Modern Witch Tarot. Now this has been floating around for quite a while, and I've been very eager to get this, almost as eager as to get the True Black Tarot. The only difference is I didn't have to pay almost 20 quid for import tax to get this, because this wound up actually being sent to my local shop. So I'll have a quick look at the box first, and then we'll actually go through the deck. So it's still sealed, but on the front you have the Magician, nice black lady there. On the side we have Temperance, another nice black lady with a really cool rainbow style shirt, so I'm all up for that. On the other side we have what appears to be the Hermit, and on the very back we have a few selected cards on there. So we have Seven of Pentacles, the card Everything is Fine. Do you like that one? Three of Cups, Ace of Wands, the Chariot, and the Empress. So look forward to taking a look at those. So this is kind of like a slide bottom box, so take a quick look at the measurements as well, because I know some of you have been really looking forward for me to do this. So the box itself is about 3.5 inches across by 5.5 inches in height. So I'm going to do the proper unboxing. I'll obviously take off all the packaging off in the camera break. So we'll head straight on to the actual cards themselves. It's exciting. Okay, so let's take a look. So I've already seen a lot of the cards already, just through people I follow on Twitter and Instagram. So some of these I have already seen, although I've not actually opened the box yet, so I'm looking forward to that. So first of all, we've got the nice slidey box. A bit tricky, but that's fine. Right, so we've got the Modern Witch there. The side's quite blank, but you don't really necessarily need great detail for this part. Got a bit of cardboard there. Okay, so you've got a nice little bit of cardboard to help you get the cards out of the deck. I've also got a nice little book, and it's a nice little hardback book actually. It's a nice light blue. So what we'll do, let's take the cards out and take the book out. The inside of the box is quite nice. It's getting a bit, sun's starting to go down, but the inside of the box is quite nice. It's got nice little patterns inside there, and that's pretty cool. So you've got key, cups, swords, wands, maybe crystals. Yeah, kind of interesting. So put that out the way, just with the cardboard for a bit. Take a quick look at the book. So we've got the Everything is Fine on the front. So you've got the nice little illustrated guide. So have a look. So that's obviously the inside of the box. So we're not going to go through the book completely. Let's have a quick browse. So the paper is quite a little thicker than you would expect for one of these sort of books. Just a little bit thicker, not particularly strong. So you've got your nice forward there with the King of Chalices, or Cups, depending on what they're calling it. Introduction there. So yeah, I quite like some of it. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing these cards through. Yeah, and then it just goes on to there. Just have a quick skim, see if it has any. Oh, we've got, yeah, so we do have a couple of setups in the back as well. So we've got some spreads at the back, but that's not what you want to see. Assuming you haven't seen these already. Right, so you've got so this is actually done with a bit of plastic and tape here. It's usually done with cardboard. Let me just get my scissors and do this very carefully because I don't want to damage any of the cards. Right, so let's take a look. So, okay, so the cards feel nice and smooth. So that's the back of the cards there. Do like that, and I like how they've done the W and the M. That's pretty cool. So you can do them inverse. You can do them reversed and not no. I don't do reversed, as I often say to a lot of people. So we start with my favourite card, the Fool. So, as I've already been kind of made aware that essentially this will be pretty much just the modern version of the Rider-Waite. So there's not going to be a lot of variation on the theme. There's probably just more who's actually in it. So I like the Fool there. Pretty much just wearing the same clothes that the classic Fool wears, but more of a nice kind of summery dress. So that's pretty cool. And she's on her phone, listening to music. Probably listening to ABBA, I'd imagine. I can't stand ABBA myself, but I'm not holding that against her. So, down there. So, so next we've got the Magician, which I said which is on the cover. So, she's pretty cool there. In a nice kind of dress and overshirt and kind of jacket. I'm not as well versed in female fashion, so if I do wind up saying something that isn't quite correct when it comes to women's clothes, I apologise in advance. I'm no expert. So next we move on to the High Priestess, and as I said, I have a feeling that it's pretty much just going to be that looks like the standard, but I like the fact they've gone with the purple look. I think that looks quite nice. She looks good in purple, and still got like the pomegranate behind her, but no B&J on the pillars, which I think is interesting. But at the same time, for a modern deck, you really want that sort of thing on your card, unless you're unless you're one of the sexier decks. So now we have the Empress. And I like her having the afro. I don't know why, but the Empress, a black woman having an afro, being an Empress, I think is pretty cool because it does have that feeling of empowerment and of both gender and race. But you know, that's just what I see. Not everyone might see that. I'm going to try and keep my political views as close to the chest as possible through this, but I just think that looks really cool. So next we have the Emperor. Gasp! Is it a man? Is it a non-binary person? Is it a woman? Who knows? And to be honest, I'm not really that bothered. But it looks pretty cool. Nice suit. I like the fact they've still got the goat horns and the idea that they're behind a cityscape. So not just they're not just ripping off the classic. It's not just it's not just a man on a throne on the mountains. It's a person on a throne in front of like skyscrapers in front of a city. You know, that could be most likely more an American city because we don't really have that many spies, at least in London. So next we move on to the Hierophant. Now this one I like the look of because this has a more. Oh jeez, I'm gonna be really my apologies if I sound culturally misinformed. This kind of has like a Hindu sort of feel to it. So I wouldn't necessarily see that and imagine this is like a woman of Christianity, but more of a. I'm getting a feel of Hinduism from that. Nothing particularly overtly, but that's just what I see. If I'm wrong, correct me, but just don't be mean, please. So next we've got the Lovers. Now that's an interesting one in the fact that you've still got the trees and the burn and the fire there. What I find interesting is not only the fact that in this regard, in the classic version, it's Adam and Eve. Not just how they got the back turn, but how the angel is kind of is around them. Is that like if they feel the bond? Does this angel feel the bond between these two people, or does the angel? Can the angel not turn away? That's quite an interesting. And I also like to say that the colours on this deck so far are really nice. Just a great blend. And once again, also another cityscape as well, which is nice. I also like the fact it's at night. None of this is during the day. All of this is happening at night. I think it's quite an interesting thing. So next we've got the chariot. You've still got the Sphinx. Sphinxes. Who cares? But yeah, I like the fact you've still got the Sphinx there, and a woman on a motorcycle, and 2 crescent moons as well, which you don't necessarily have in the classic, but I like that. And once again, cityscape, which is pretty cool. You've got the strength next. I also like the fact that we've got like the original Roman numerals up above, and the classic the classic writing below. I like the roses around the lion, and in this regard, it's just more of the woman by the lion rather than holding down the lion. So that's quite nice. I was correct with that being the hermit, but then the hermit is, no, let's be fair, very easy one to notice. So we've got the hermit in here, lifting or putting away a laptop. So probably more, and more of the modern sense that they communicate but just stay within. So that's an interesting take on that one. So now we've just got the Wheel of Fortune. Not a lot happening with that. But then at the same time, not every card can be super busy. But that's I don't know. I feel this feels a bit empty for me, just because I'm probably just more used to having the animals here and like a couple of other things on here. So it feels a little emptier for me. But it feels that there's less distraction in the card. So it's just like, oh, you've got the up and the down. There's no other thing to kind of be distracted with, really. So that's quite nice. So you've got Justice. Not really much I can say there. You've got the equality symbol there, equal. So yeah, I mean, outside of just saying how nice their clothes look, there's not much I can say to that one. But that one's quite nice. It doesn't feel too overpowering as a card either. Next we have the Hanged One. So I think we can all agree, very kind of female focused deck there. But then I think I've discussed this with one of my friends yesterday, and the fact that some of them just might be, once again, I've not read through the book, as clearly you know. But yeah, so they might be kind of hinting more to just not just gender neutrality in that regard, but maybe just more of focusing on non-binary as well. Or there might be elements of transgenderism in here, I don't know. However, I've always thought if that was a direction the deck would go, it'd be very tricky to kind of do that in a respectful way. Not saying they can't, but I'd imagine it'd be very tricky. But yeah, so you've got the Hanged One here. They seem quite chill. Okay, next we've got Death. And so what do we have? Someone in all black in a death mask. I actually have a bandana like that somewhere. Can't quite remember where. Yeah, so this kind of has that feeling of, yeah, just another modern version of a classic. It doesn't quite feel so oppressive. I think in the fact that it has that modern feel, it doesn't necessarily feel so smothering and maybe distant. So next we have Temperance. As I said before, I love that jumper. I would like that jumper. If anyone knows if that jumper is available, send me a link in the comments. Yeah, so that one's just quite nice with the fit in the water there. I like the colour of, I like the yellow. I like the red of the wings as well. That does look quite nice. Right, moving on to the Devil. Once again, the two humans facing inwards rather than out. I'm interested as to why, but I guess that's probably, they might just be focusing more on what they're dealing with as well. I like the fact they've gone with the full, I'm intrigued rather by the fact they've gone with the full masculine look of, because sometimes it's depicted as Baphomet, who is, as some of you would know, would be the kind of goat-headed deity with both male and female. So sometimes the devil's depicted with having breasts, if it indeed is the goat-headed devil they go for. But I find it interesting the fact he's got the goat head and his like green. I'm really bad with colours today, and like orange skin here. So, but those colours, the colour choices are still quite nice. But I am still intrigued as to why they're looking in. So next we have the tower, and it's usually it's two people falling, but this person is actually impaled. So not great, but they've gone with the lightning. Sometimes it can be fire or something else, but it also seems to be raining fire as well. So this is a very dramatic tower, and the fact the rocks are severely jagged and not just plain. So that's not somewhere you want to land. So next we've got the moon, the stars. Jeez, I'm really bad today. So today we've got now we have the stars, and I guess as classic look as the star is really. When pouring water into a lake or a pond or what have you, don't quite know what's going on over there, but still pouring water on the floor, the tree. Once again, you've got the modern landscape behind. Not a lot to say about this other than the fact she's brunette, where it's usually depicted as a blonde, I believe. So now we have the moon, and this one's quite interesting because there's no towers or pillars. It's a nice little mountain range with a cave. Two women with the animals' faces instead of it being animal cells, and a sea witch, a creature of some negative. Well, it seems to be implied that they're a negative in the water, and the feminine moon there as well. So that's quite an interesting sort of way to go around. I will definitely be using this next week. I think this week I'll be using the Tower del Fuego. I know I've pronounced that incorrectly. So now we have the sun. Once again, classic sort of look. Little girl on the horse with little roses there, nice little white dress. And I think I see the sun smiling. It looks like a bit of a smile, but then I could just be projecting. Once again, an angel with red wings. See, I got the colours right that time. Not a lot to say. I like the fact that they're just not a standard skinny people, just like a plus size woman there, which is pretty cool. But then I'd imagine that would have been a thing throughout this deck anyway. So yeah, it's quite nice. There's no horn, which I think is, I don't want to say it's good or bad. I said it's just more interesting this than the fact that they're not. It feels more of a peaceful resurrection rather than just kind of anything a bit harsher. But yeah, that one does look quite nice and comforting. So we now have the world. Once again, kind of blank around the edges, but this one doesn't seem as empty as the Wheel of Fortune did for me. But it's still quite nice, still very peaceful, and I don't want to say wholesome, but it has this kind of, it has a more, for me it feels more positive and like you've reached the end of your goals. So now we go on to the wands. She's got nice nails, that's all I can say there. Well, green, going more for the dark greens rather than just kind of like the red bits, because sometimes the leaves do have that depiction of fire. So let's see all the modern stuff they go here outside of the clothes. Okay, so you've got a woman there looking out to sea, checking her phone, and it feels like it's, well, I mean, nowadays if you're waiting for something to return, you'd be checking your apps, you'd be checking that things are working on time, so you're not just waiting. I mean, it's implying that she's waiting, but she's also, she has a way to check, but it still kind of shows patience and concern over what she's waiting for. So next we've got the three of wands, and more of a mature looking lady. Once again, just looking out to see in the classic style. I do like the colours. I do like the shade of yellows here. It does look quite nice. Got a few boats out there. She's not necessarily looking out into the horizon, but she's looking out. So I've got the Four of Wands. Nice, once again, has a nice urban setting. It has that feeling of park conversion, where they try and renovate a park to make it a bit more family friendly, make it a bit more easier for kids and dog owners and that sort of thing. So it has that sort of feel to it, which is quite nice. This, I think, looks quite interesting. The nice Five of Wands here. So two of them seem to be wearing masks, so you could kind of look at this on a combative sort of air to it, rather than just cooperative people working kind of like people working together. So you can have a bit of conflict here, and maybe needing to work together, and instead it's just falling apart. Conflict was the word I was looking for. Right, so now we've got the Sicx here. It feels like less of a parade as the classic, but it does have that feeling of that they are returning from something positive. Maybe you could say like someone's coming home from university, and they've actually they're coming back with their achievements. So next we've got Seven of Wands. And once again, she's in quite a defensive position, but not necessarily in an aggressive way. She does seem a bit more calm about it. So rather than kind of going, great, I've got to do all of this, it's more of, okay, this is something that needs to be done. Let's do this in the best way possible. Eight of Wands. Not much to say other than that there's a motorcycle. And the fact that the clouds are kind of wisping in with the wands as well, I think looks quite nice. So now we've got the 9, and that seems to be aiming more towards that kind of feeling of lethargic. They're kind of lethargic. They've had to put up their defensive wall, and now they're just kind of, well, it looks like she's sick of it, but still feels that it's something that needs to be done. But then that's always been the look and feel for that card for me. So yeah, they've captured that look and feel quite well to me. So now we've got the 10 of Wands, and she's like in a small village, maybe like I don't really know American landscapes too well, but it has like a kind of New Mexico sort of look to it in the background. So it's not just struggling in general, but it's kind of struggling with your tasks, but struggling with the environment around you as well. So not only do you have to do all of this, you have to do all of this under this sort of constraint. So Page of Wands. Not much to say in that detail really. It does seem to have that kind of pupil mentality. She does feel like she's starting new and not quite sure where to go. So we've got the Knight. I like the red hair, and the style of the horse is pretty cool. More of a sturdier looking horse. As I said, outside of the clothes, there's not a lot I can say to this one. But then, I've been saying this all through the deck. So now go to the Queen. Still with the sunflower and the black cat. Nice little lion's head there. Flowers on, blue flowers on top of a crown there. Yeah, overall, it's oh, okay, and she's kind of got that. I don't know the name of the condition, but with the skin, with the variation of skin tone across her body. I don't actually know what the term is for that. And then we have the King of Wands, also looking pretty cool. Kind of calm, relaxed. I like how the hair is kind of poking out from the top of the crown. I don't know why, I just quite like that. They've still got the thing with the salamanders, which is cool, and the bull or goat, can't quite tell from that picture. Yeah, they're just kind of, as I said, not really doing anything particularly new, but it's more, once again, they're going for the modern version rather than just a remake. That's a nice chalice there. That's quite it's quite an interesting pink as well. It's not too bright, and yeah. But then I'm also quite like how the pink, the contrast of the pink and the blue looks really nice. So I know I'm going to enjoy this side. So I've got the two, and I've got 2 of cups. Little lighthouse in the background. I like the fact that she's standing in the water while she's on the shore. That one's quite an interesting way. So it could be a kind of slightly different backgrounds or slightly different circumstances, but still can connect, which is a good message. And then we've got the 3 of cups, where you've got the 3 generations, which hey, looks pretty cool, and also 3 different races, or at least 3 different skin tones, which is also pretty cool. But then I'm biased. So next we have the 4. I like the fact they're just kind of leaning up on a brick wall, and that looks like a pane of glass. So they're just sitting out in the street, bored, and the opportunities given to them there. I guess that makes sense because there's not that many green areas in urban environments. So that's a nice way to depict that one. Nice location. So next we kind of got like the shoreline near a very large bridge. So yeah, I like it where it's indicating that the water's going back, it's either going back into the water, or that this water here might not necessarily be coming from these cups, but either way the cups are still empty. And you've got the 2 in the back there. So, and the black dress I think kind of illustrates the point quite well as well. So next we have the 6. That feels more like a mother and daughter exchange, and that looks like the nicest looking ice cream I've ever seen in my life. Probably bubblegum flavour, because we all know if it's blue it's probably bubblegum. Spoilers, I am blue, but I am not made of bubblegum, or taste like bubblegum, this as far as I've been told. Moving swiftly on. I like some of the options here in regards to the cups. So you've got some of the classics, and now let's like the fact you just got a fist. There's no dragon, but yeah, these feel more like modern terms. So chaos, reward, money, power, love, romance, snakes, whatever you're into. If you have a nice reptile house, who knows? So next we've got the 8. And that doesn't have as much of a feeling of determination as with the classics, but they do seem to be kind of like, it has the screw you guys I'm going home, but less of a demand and more of like they're doing this in a calm fashion, and they're just walking calmly away rather than feel that they have to move on and feeling like they've been pushed away. Now this, my friends and I usually refer to as the smug git card. And she doesn't look as much of a smug git, but she does look pretty happy with herself. I also like the fact her skirt kind of covers the entire bench, and it's quite a wide bench as well. So I do quite like that. It does kind of emphasise that a bit more, I feel. So next up, the 10. Once again, nice happy family, and I'd hope for a bit more of a colour in the rainbow here, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. So I've got a nice little house there, 2 kids there, 2 mums, cityscape, nice little river, quite idyllic really. So first we've got the page, who's on a stage or a pier, and a little nosy at the little fish in the cup. Once again, I don't think there's going to be much I can say. I mean, I like the flowers on her sleeves. That's quite cool. So next we've got the knight, who does not have those flowers, which is usually depicted in the classics and the classic rider. this woman has that kind of feeling of like doesn't look like it has that look that fits in quite into the societal norm, but I kind of like skirts on the fringes. So next we have the Queen, and I love her hair. Looks really cool. Nice blue hair. Once again, biased. But yeah, she has a more warmth to her than in the classics, and I like the fact that the water is kind of hitting up against the bottom of her skirt there. And we've got the King of Cups. Now the King feels a bit more. He feels a bit more not sturdier, a bit more stern than the classic would be. Don't know why, but it might be the glasses. Not that I've got anything against people with glasses. So now we've got the swords. Only because I'm really looking forward to the 10. But yeah, so starts with the 10 there. Swords there. So we've got the standard blindfold. And to be fair, as I said, there's not much I can say to that other than the kind of like a little darker sky than the other blue. Nice dress, really. Now with the 3, I'm interested in the fact that it's black, that it's oozing from the heart. So I'm quite intrigued by that. And they're nice swords. They seem to be more like one-handed rather than they feel like more. Oh, they just feel like thinner, smaller swords. Really, they're quite nice. So you've got the 4 of Swords. I like the fact it's more in a bed rather than a tomb, rather than like in a tombstone. What's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word. Might edit it in post. It's fine. Anyway, mausoleum. That's the word. But yeah, it's the fact she's just in her room and just not with that today. So next we have the 5 of Swords, and it's like a kind of business person, kind of going, haha, I have won success in the business. So that does have that feeling of sense of victory for them, feeling of defeat for them. That does have that kind of power dynamic, I think. Yeah, there's that kind of power dynamic there. So with the 6, yeah, you kind of have that feeling of, I don't know, not quite grief, but feeling of something there with her, whilst they're being carted along by. I don't know. It feels like I'm getting a feeling like a mother and daughter. So the daughter is helping the mother deal with whatever it is she's dealing with. And then once again, I could just be projecting. Love that outfit. I think that one's quite interesting in the fact that it feels like she's just. That feels like a decision to move house and leave everyone else behind, and kind of going, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing, screw the lot of you. This one's interesting in the fact that you can't see the hands. Now usually you do. But that doesn't seem as because sometimes it does have that feeling where it's a thing you can get out of, but there's no feeling that you can, but you don't feel like you're able to. Whilst this one has less of that going on about it, you see. So, moving on. That looks like the one from number 6, but I like the fact tapestry's a bit more, I guess, modern, a bit more standard, because that's not really the sort of pattern you would have got in the classic. But I do like the look of that one. 10 of Swords. Maybe the everything's fine was just like a joke for later. You got 10 of Swords. Yeah, I think that's more about ignoring the issue and not telling anyone you're dealing with one. So that has the Page of Swords has a good feel to her. That's have that feeling of there's stuff they want to achieve, but they are just starting out and they're not quite sure how to achieve what they want to. So then we've got the classic Knight of Swords. I also like the fact that it's actually clouds on their coat. It's not just I can't remember what it is in the classic one, but yeah, I like the fact it's actually got clouds on there. So next we've got the Queen. has a kind of very cold look to her. But then I think it's just because of the white top, white boots, and like the kind of like the very light blue transparency of the dress. But that's just what I get. So the king, once again, feels kind of not as severe as the classic. I do like the fact they're amongst the clouds though. That is still pretty cool. So we end with the coins. So pentacles. So a nice little Garden of Eden. Well, not a nice little garden, to be honest. There's no little archway leading to another garden, so that's an interesting one. So that's nice. Now I like this one in the fact that classically they're usually by a pier for some reason, but this person is they are just in a garden, so it kind of sticks more to this standard. Kind of sticks more to its meaning rather than its classic look. Right, so now we've got the 3, and just like a figure drawer, because it's usually a sculpt, more like a stonemason. So that does feel like a pretty cool kind of way to kind of employ that, because they're being taught, they're all commissioned. So that one's quite cool. I like that one, nice classic sort of look to that one. I love the coat, and I like the cityscape behind them as well. It's quite nice. So the 5 is quite, has a more positive look than the classic, in the fact that these people don't look like they are homeless, because they usually come across, because in the classic they're usually the infirm and the impoverished, whilst they don't necessarily look impoverished. So that feels more like a spiritual pushing out rather than a literal pushing out. So that's positive at least. So I like the concept of it being presents instead of just money in this one, because it's usually the person's handing out money to the poor, but this one just kind of, yeah, I like that. Little presents. Is it something that's earned? Because that feels like it's something you have to earn rather than just hand out. So that could be the message of, you want to give stuff out, you want to help people out, but you know it's like teaching your child that you know they have to earn a thing before they can get the thing. Alright, so we move on to the 7, which we saw on the box. Does have that kind of, she comes across as less patient. She does feel like she's just kind of tapping her foot, waiting for it to grow properly, fully, rather than patiently waiting. Yeah, there is a bit of feeling of impatience there. So I like this one, in a kind of graphic design sort of way. I am a comic book. Well, I'm not as much of a comic book fan as I used to be. Thank you, DC. But yeah, I do like the idea of this one just being an artist rather than just like another stonemaker. But it's still kind of working on the craft. I still quite like that one. So next with the 9, we have no hawk or falcon, and then I didn't think we would. I do like the carrots though. Kind of. Oh, I got a little bird on top of my hat there, but no snail at the bottom. Gosh. Only because, once again, I'm comparing this to the traditionals. But I do like that one. It has a brighter and more positive feel to it than the classic. So next we got the 10, and that's quite a nice picture, with how they've kind of turned this one. I'd also just like the fact that they're there with the blue hair and stuff as well. So it is. I think they've done quite a good job with this. So next, with the page, once again classic page, modern city in the background here, and tinted glasses. Either that or it's just I don't know if they're tinted or not, but they look like they are. Yeah, I just always quite like the modern landscapes there. So next we have the knight. So the knight isn't necessarily on as thick a horse as in the classic, but they do have that kind of farm sort of look to them. They do feel like they are a person who cultivates in a farm, I guess. They seem to be a person who works with their hands and with tools and stuff, so that does look pretty cool. So, got the Queen, and I love the, once again, I do like the roses around here. Go ahead and grab it there. I like the fact there's no cityscape in this one on a rarity, but once again, the colour blends work just really well with these. So then we've got the King, and that one's quite interesting. Now in the classic sense, the King is surrounded by grapes and all sorts. This one's just once again just near a wall, near a garden, and I feel that it feels like their job is an office job, and they just have. It feels like they may be like planning to kind of do something with this land, so they're not just. They're sitting on its future potential. And now we have the Everything is Fine card, which I think is pretty cool. So, once again, I've not read the book yet, but I'd imagine that seems to be more of, it might look like everything's going wrong, but it's all good. I've actually got it in hand, or it's not as bad as it looks. And then we end with this little card here that says, you are a badass being full of life, love, and possibilities. Through this deck, may you find your path to your best self. Isn't that lovely? Now, so that's been my unboxing of the Modern Witch Tarot. So, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up in the subscription and hit that bell notification. And you can also follow me on the social medias that I mentioned earlier today. And without further ado, I bid you adieu.